Information transmission in the nervous system is a little bit more complicated than some people might originally have guessed. There are two major big guys that help out with information transmission, and that's the presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron. And in between the two of them is an area of space, a gap called the synaptic cleft, which is where everything kind of happens. So the presynaptic neuron is, like, I think of him as kind of the train conductor of the impulse. He conducts the impulse down to the synapse. And the postsynaptic neuron is kind of the train station. He receives that input at the synapse. So this whole process of this train being sent and received is called synaptic transmission. And throughout synaptic transmission, I like to think of neurotransmitters, who are a major part of it, as kind of the MVPs or the superstars. And I'll explain why in a minute. And it's a one-way road, so the train doesn't go both ways. It only goes from presynaptic to postsynaptic. So what happens is an impulse or stimulation is sent down the presynaptic neuron's axon. And at the end of axons, I picture them to be kind of almost like doorknobs, like old doorknobs, like circles. They're fluid-filled sacs. Basically, in each doorknob, there's multiple, and in those sacs is like membranous fluid. And so when the impulse reaches the doorknob at the end of the axon, basically a door opens, voltage-gated calcium channels open up, and calcium flows into the cells, so that way that there's more calcium in than there is out. And I kind of like to think of calcium as the person that nobody wants at the party. So when calcium comes, everybody wants to leave. So calcium floods in. The vesicle, the synaptic vesicle, fuses with the cell membrane for basically for safety. And calcium comes in. It's the vesicle and the cell fuse, and neurotransmitters run away, released through exocytosis into this postsynaptic neuron receptors. They connect with them, bind with them. And that postsynaptic neuron either decides whether it's going to be an excitatory or inhibitory reaction. And that is how information flows. So that whole train of transmission and everyone running away from calcium at the party continues, and that's how information is transmitted in the nervous system.